Hello, friends. So good to be with you today. Got something really special for you today. I was actually counseling someone, talking to someone the other day, and they were just going through a really difficult time. And in essence, what they were saying was, I just feel like I've hit a wall in my life. As I begin to think about that, I think that really describes a lot of people and the things they're going through, because sometimes you're going through and everything's great. I'm just thinking of what happened last week or last month when things are going so well, and then all of a sudden it's like I just hit a dry spot. I just hit a place where I don't know. It's just I'm a plateau. I don't know. I'm stuck. I just feel like I'm stuck and I don't know what to do. I've told you about this before, but I think it really bears repeating here. There is a place that around the equator where in the old days, ships that they didn't move by the machines that they do now. They went by sail, and down around the equator, there was just a place uh, that they would run into what was called the doldrums, and it was a place where for it could happen for a few moments, a few hours, or even a few weeks, or possibly even months. That all of the wind would stop, totally stop. And of course, that was their motive. That was the only way they could travel, was the wind would hit the sails and move them forward. But when there was no wind, they were just stuck. They couldn't do anything. And many times they would end that condition. They would die. They literally would die there. And we begin to hear terms like ghost ships. And what that meant was is they'd get there and everybody on there was dead. They died of thirst or they died of hunger because they couldn't do anything. And it's horrible thing. And let me just explain, around the equator, it wasn't that there was no wind. The wind was not running across. Actually, what was happening is the wind was coming and going straight up. But they didn't know that. They couldn't feel the wind. The wind was not moving them forward. Well, there's a lot of people like that today. I pulled up, as a matter of fact, I pulled up a definition for the doldrums, and it's a period of being sad, bored, no energy, no enthusiasm, and the synonyms for doldrums. It includes the blues, depression, gloom, boredom, apathy, stagnation, inactivity, despondency. I mean, they've got these big long list of things, and maybe you've been going through something like that. I I ran across this thing that I really thought was cute. It was saying what was illegal in the doldrums, and they kind of made a little story out of it, and they said thinking and laughing are both outlawed in that land, and this was the land of the oh good gracious, what were they called? Lethargians, I think was what they called it, and they spent all day dwiddling and napping and laudering and basically doing nothing. But it was illegal to think, and it was illegal to laugh. Well, kind of what that was saying was is you just kind of reach a place to where you're not moving forward and you're not happy, and there's no laughter and there's no joy. There's no wind in your sails. So that being said, what's happening during those times? Because every one of us have been through that. Every one of us have. There are times in your life when things are going great, and then there's times in your life when you're thinking, what the heck is this all about? I'm not happy. It just seems like nothing. There's no joy in my life. Well, I want to kind of break that down for you like this, is to say that in your life, as you go along, there are chapters in your life. And during those chapters, that's where your life is lived out. That's where the experiences that you have, the happiness, the sadness, and it's a description of the movement of your life. But that is just a chapter in your life. And there are times when that chapter is over. That doesn't mean that your life is over. That's not the whole book. There's many chapters in your life. And I have found that when people during these seasons of their life hit this dry place, they hit this doldrum, they hit this empty place, I have determined that it is not, I used to say it's not a wall, it's a staircase. Because what I used to always say was, look, if you'll step back, you're going to see, because people hit this wall. I mean, boom, they hit this wall and they're frustrated. They're writing scriptures on it. They're rebuking the wall. There are all these other things. But I said, if you'll step back and look at it, it's not a wall at all. It's a staircase, which in a stairs, you're going to see many different stairs in a staircase. But I've even changed that up. I want to say that's something different. I want to say it's not a wall, it's a invitation. Anytime that you hit a place where you feel like you're hitting a wall, I feel like that is an invitation for you to come to the next level. An invitation for that. Now, you don't have to accept the invitation. There's a lot of times people have done that very thing. They hit this wall, or they hit this place of where life is not going that great, and they just die there. They live their life out and they die there. You know, there's a story in the book of Exodus where it talked about the children of Israel that was coming out of the promised land, and there was a great provision that God promised them. He said it's going to be a land that flows with milk and honey, but because of their attitudes, because of their behaviors, because of the things they were doing, they lived in this barren land, this desert land, that they were not able to enter into the promised land. And many of them, an entire generation, died in that wilderness land. And even though so much more was available, even though there was so many, but that's the same with you. There's a lot of people that are facing things, and it just seems like they're in a barren place. Depending on how you respond to that wall, so to speak, and respond to the invitation, determines whether you go forward or whether you just stay in that mess and just continue. And you can stay. You can stay there and live in that spot for the rest of your life. There's another story in the Bible where it talked about two tribes. When all the children of Israel were going into the promised land, there was two tribes that before they got to the promised land, they say, we like this land. This is good for our cattle. This suits us. And so they were wanting to stay, and they did. They built their homes, they took their families, everything that they had, and they stopped short of what God had for them. And that's fine. I mean, if that's where you want to stay, God will let you do that. Now, there's more for you, and it's almost like you're just in this plateau. You're not able to move forward in life. You're just kind of stuck in that spot. And so I want to just say, settling, it's not that it's always so bad, as long as you know that's what you're doing. As long as you understand, I'm stopping short. I'm fine here. I know there's more for me, but I'm willing not necessarily to move forward. You understand that? Settling isn't so bad as long as you understand that that's what you're doing. But there's a lot of people that they're frustrated and they're angry because they've hit this wall in their life, this plateau in their life, and they really haven't understood that they're going to have to make some changes to go into the next level of their life. Every time you move to a new level, it's going to require some kind of a change in your life. That's just the bottom line. Every time you move to a new level, it's going to require some kind of change in your life, whether it be in your habits, your relationships, your beliefs, all of those things that have kept you at that level. See, so the invitation comes to you, and even when you know this doesn't, well, how can I say? They say, well, my life, I just don't enjoy life anymore. I think that's a good indication that you've hit a wall, don't you? I don't enjoy life. This isn't fun anymore. This is miserable. You get to where you're fighting everybody and hating everybody, and you're just kind of miserable. You're just sitting in that. You're just cooking in that situation, not realizing that chapter has run out, baby. You have hit a wall. You can't go forward anymore on the level that you're at. You're going to have to come up to a higher level. And to do that, you're going to have to make some changes in your habits. You cannot think that you're going to continue to do what you've been doing and suddenly, boom, you're going to come up to a new level. It's going to require some things that begins to change on your part. And that's just the bottom line. Invitation always comes when you feel you're at the end of something. Now, I'm not just talking about being a little bit bored. You know when you've come to the end of something. This isn't working anymore. I'm not happy anymore. I'm not satisfied anymore. Don't look at that as a thing to say my life is over. It's just that chapter is over. Invitation comes to you during those times. And when you feel at the end of something, and it's going to take some bravery on your part, it's going to take a decision. Change takes bravery, and it's necessary for that. And so many times I think people have hit this wall and they stop there, and they're angry. They don't want to be there anymore, but they spend their life, and you can always tell when they're like this because they're blaming others. They're mad at everybody. And it's almost like they just die, kind of like the children of Israel. They die in that situation. When it was time to move to the next chapter, they couldn't do it. They couldn't change. Can I just say this? They couldn't let go of their resentments, of their bitterness, of their unforgiveness. They couldn't let go of the hurts that they had before, the things that were behind them. They couldn't let those things go. And it kept them strapped to that place of despondency, of the doldrums, no motivation, no wind, we're just dying out here. So see, when it's time for you to move to the next chapter of your life, you're going to begin to see that it's important that you let go of what was. You let go of the hurts. You let go of somebody offended me. I know that. And let me just tell you something. Before your life's over, someone else is going to offend you. Shake it off, baby. Your life is too important for you to get stalled out in that area when God's got so much more for you. You understand that? And see, what they believed the lie, the children of Israel did, and it kept them tied to the life that they lived yesterday. And that's what happens. You start getting things like that in your head, things that happen to you, maybe your disappointment. I tell you what, I have seen so much through counseling and people. Well, when I was a child, this happened to me. And I understand, listen, there's been some great injuries that have happened to people when they were children. But there comes a time when you let it go. There's a difference between a scar and a wound. I've got many scars on my arms from when I was a child. I was a young man. I had a motorcycle wreck, or when I was a little boy, I was swinging on a rope and fell and just cut my arm wide open. But now I'm just left. I know it happened because I have the scar, but it has no more power. Matter of fact, I'd have to even think about where on my arm was that scar. I don't even remember anymore. See, that's the way it should be. Things happen in your life that will try to keep you tied to another level, a lesser level. But God says, come on, man, you're going to have to get healed from that. Will you always have the scar? Yeah, for the rest of your life. There'll always be a remembrance that something happened to you in the past, but it has no more power over you. And it doesn't keep you restrained to that past level. And there are people, they go through counseling all their life blaming somebody else. Well, I got hurt in that marriage. I got hurt in that church. I got hurt in that relationship. I'm not going to trust anyone. And it's a prison. Don't you realize that's the doldrums? You're dying in a place that has no movement when God has so much more for you. Does that make any sense? And so that's just basically what happens in people's lives. And this isn't the last time you're ever going to hit a wall. I promise you, in your lifetime, you're going to hit another wall. But again, it's not a wall. It's an invitation to come to the next level. So what do I got to do? I've got to evaluate where I'm at. Maybe I might have to do some repentance, apologize. Dear God, I've apologized for stuff I didn't even do just to get past the impasse that was holding me down. I didn't want to be held there anymore. So I'm going to face new walls. And the reason is because there's many chapters to my life. There was a chapter where I went through this. And finally, when I came to the conclusion of that chapter, it was like I just hit a wall. I couldn't go any further in that chapter. So I had to make a decision. Am I going to stay in that for the rest of my life, or am I going to begin to move forward? And there's always going to be new walls because there's always more chapters for you. The things you've been going through, it's not the end of the book. That's just one of the chapters in your book. God wants to take you from glory to glory, from one wonderful experience to another. Well, did that hurt before? Yeah, it hurt like heck. But you know what? That was then, this is now. And you've been stuck for so long through maybe rebellion, and that's what kept the children of Israel in their doldrum. They were stayed there. They were kept there because of rebellion. Sometimes it's being fearful, and sometimes it's just being lazy, just too blooming lazy to get up and make the changes that need to be made. Sometimes you stay where you are because you're just too lazy to make the changes to take you to the next level. Attitudes, beliefs, holding on to old offenses. And I know this is probably redundant, me going over this, but I just want to say these are the things that have kept you locked up for so long. And you've grooved your swing in this lifestyle that you have. And it's so comfortable to you because that's all you know. But I'm telling you, if you will put forth the work, if you will put forth the discipline, you can change your opportunity to move to another level. And I promise, when you change what's on the inside of you by doing that, everything on the outside will change, and you'll be elevated to a new place that's going to be wonderful. Everything you dreamed of is in front of you. So you got to do that. You got to make the changes. Let me just quickly say this. If God elevated you to where he just said, okay, I'm going to move you to another next level, you wouldn't be sustained in that place because you still have the same habits that kept you in the old place. See, you won't be sustained by doing the same thing that you've always done. Old habits produce the same results. Old lifestyles produce the same results. What's keeping you where you are? Can I ask that? I mean, come on, you're ready to move. You're ready to come up to a higher level. What's keeping you there? Is it fear? Is it relationships with somebody? I'll tell you what, I really believe that relationships is so important for your life. Sometimes you can get with a wrong relationship and you're going to find that misery loves company. They don't want to see you move forward because they're stuck in the doldrums. And they'll tell you things like, well, I knew someone who tried that, and dear God, they died, or they lost everything. You don't need that kind of friend. You really don't. Four kinds of friends: those who add, those who subtract, those who multiply, and those who divide. That's just the bottom line right there. Those who add, those who subtract, those who multiply, and those who divide. I've been around people who you get around them, they're mad at everybody. Suddenly when you're with them, you find three other people that you're supposed to be mad at that you didn't even know you were mad at, because that kind of a person divides. You don't need that kind of a friend. You don't need the kind of a friend who subtracts from you, somebody that whenever you walk away from them, you feel worse than you did when you got there. Suddenly you feel like something is missing from my life. Listen, you need people who add to you. You need people who believe in you. You need people who see the treasure in you and will multiply that, will do everything that they possibly can to multiply you. You need to determine when God wants to bless you, he sends someone into your life. And I'm just telling you something, all the movement in your life is going to take place through the relationships that you have. Are you ready to move to a new level? Listen, if you're feeling the way you are now, it may not be time for you yet. You may be very happy where you are right now. That's fine. You just keep walking it out. But when you come to the place that you say, this is terrible, I'm miserable, I don't like where I'm at, it seems like I'm struggling, it seems like I'm going through difficulties with everybody in the world, that's a good time to stop and think about God's giving you an invitation to come to another level. See, it's not a wall, it's an invitation. I love that. It's not a wall, it's an invitation. And that's what God's got for you. So God has things for your life. And can I just say one more thing right quickly concerning the friendships that you have? When you have people in your life, they're not going to be perfect. They're just not. Many of them are finding their way, just like you're finding your way, and they're going through the same struggles that you are. But when you find someone, begin to invest in them, begin to sow in them, begin to reach out and make their life better. Find someone who is ahead of you that'll reach back and give you their hand and boost you up. Listen, God's got something for you. It's an invitation to come to a higher place. It's a wonderful place. It is. And I promise you, when you get there, it's going to feel so good. And you're going to say, I love life. I love everything about it. I love life. See, that's when you know you're in your stride right there. You're walking out the chapter of your life, wherever that is. And so walk it out with faith. But if you are in the doldrums, don't just get discouraged. Don't just be ready to quit. Don't just throw your hat in the ring and say, forget it, I'm done. What you need to do is say, Lord, I want to accept the invitation to come up to the higher level. I want to accept the responsibility to change my habits, my thoughts, maybe my relationships. I want to change the things that have kept me tied to the past, and I want to begin to move forward. I think that's really important for you. Well, that's what's on my heart today. God's got something great for you, and I really want to encourage you to embrace it and to run with it. And obviously, if I can do anything for you, all you got to do is just give me a shout. Now, I've got a lot of resources that I think will be a blessing to you. I want you to know, I do want you to know that I'm praying for you. I'm going to ask you to please share this. There's a lot of people that are in the doldrums. They need some help. They just really do. And you can be that lifeline for them. You can pull them out. You can pull them up. Isn't that a great thing? I'm going to pull them up. Oh, what a great, great feeling. I love you guys. You have a wonderful, wonderful thing in front of you, and I want you to go for it with everything you've got. Let's go for it.